Hey there, my friend. Steve Gamlin here, Vision Board Mastery, motivational firewood guy. I'm here having a conversation with my dear friend, Brian K. Wright, and I'm so honored and lucky and fortunate and blessed to be part of Brian's event, Authorpreneur Part 2, 2.0. It's coming up at the end of January over a couple of days, and I'm going to be part of the very first day. And what Brian is doing with this is if you are an author, thinking about becoming an author, been an author in the past and want to do it again, but aren't quite sure where to start or where you are in your journey, Brian has put together a team of experts, a panel going over 2 days that's going to give you all the information you need, and not just for the writing of the book, but also digging deep. And that's part of what I'm going to be talking about in my portion of the broadcast, in all the different ways you can repurpose your knowledge, your skills, your reach, your influence, and of course, reaching out to all the people you need to help you write that book and of course, expand it into your full-on business, your persona, etc. So Brian, I hope I did justice to describing this event. So ladies and gentlemen, Brian K. Wright.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, that was a great description. Authorpreneur Live is going to be fantastic. This is the second version of it. We did the first version in November of 2018, right after Thanksgiving. It was very well attended and it was very interactive. And this is really cool because you will learn how to write, market, and leverage your book and create new opportunities in your business. A lot of people think that writing your book and then selling lots of copies is what's going to happen. But that's not the reality for everybody. It's what you can spin that book off to and opportunities that you can create because of your book. And a lot of my speakers are going to be talking about things like that. And I'm really happy and grateful, Steve, that you're going to be one of my speakers. In fact, should we go ahead and talk about who else is going to be here?
Sure. Yeah, please do. Run down the roster. Let's roll.
Awesome. Well, first of all, if you want to register for free at authorpreneurlive.com, you can go ahead and do that and you can see the complete list. But I'm going to briefly explain who's going to be there and what you're going to get out of it. On January 29th, leading off at noon Eastern, Markwell Russell is going to be talking about how to create a coaching business based on the expertise that you write about in your book. He's fantastic. He was one of my speakers last time and he brought the house down. He's really, really amazing. He writes regularly for Success Profiles magazine, which is the magazine that I publish. And he's really great. If you want to create an extra income of anywhere between, say, $3,000 and $10,000 a month based on the expertise in your book, you can create a coaching program. In fact, I was in a mastermind one time, James Malinchak's mastermind, and one of his people created a $250,000 a year business based on her expertise on quilting. Quilting. If you think that you cannot monetize what you know, I invite you to revisit that. And think about that again, because if someone can create a $250,000 a year business on quilting, you can create a business based on what you know as well. Mark is going to teach us how to do that. The second speaker at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, January 29th is you, Steve. Tell us what you plan on discussing.
What I'm going to be talking about, Brian, and I'm so appreciative that I'm near the beginning of the event because I'm more of a dive inward, a deep dive into, we're going to be talking about from my Vision Board Mastery program, the Visualize in 5 platform. And it's the 5 things you really need to be thinking about if you're going to write a book, knowing your reasons why you're writing the book, knowing what it is you want to create. Of course, like you just mentioned, people like Markwell, how you can add to or augment the book. And I love what you said about the book is not the be all end all. It's a brick in your wall. And if you've been like me, I published my first book 15 years ago. If you buy enough copies in advance and don't sell any of them, well, then your book is the brick wall because I had them all stacked in my basement. So what I want to do is take people on a journey inward to just take a deep breath, ground yourself and connect with what your mission is going to be. And a deep dive inward and then outward. And after my session, you're probably going to see all of the other speakers in a different light as to how you can connect and use their influence, their message to get your book out there and all the different things you can do with that. So I'm kind of a deep dive. So bring pen and paper for mine and maybe a shovel because we're going to do a little bit of digging.
That's awesome. I appreciate that so much. And I appreciate the passion and the love that you bring to what you do. And I'm glad that you're here. And here's the interesting thing about having these sessions on a Zoom chat like we're going to do. And you register for free at authorpreneurlive.com. You will get the Zoom link to join us on that day. And you'll get email reminders so that you won't forget. But it's really going to be amazing. This is great because if someone has a question during the session while someone's presenting, they can chat their questions. And if the question is about something that we are currently talking about, I will weave the question in as soon as possible. If your question's on a completely different topic, I will park it and wait for a better place to break in because I don't want to interrupt the flow of the current conversation that we're having, which I think is very fair and very respectful to the speakers. And so we will have a question and answer at the end of every session so that if your question did not get asked, you can ask again because I want to respect everyone's questions. Mm-hmm. But it's very interactive. And a lot of the speakers told me last time they really loved this format. So I'm very happy and grateful that you'll be part of this again. The next speaker after Steve on Wednesday, January 29th will be Michael Drew. He'll be speaking at 3 p.m. Eastern. And he will talk about unraveling the mysteries of publishing. He has helped over 90 people become New York Times bestselling authors. And there's definitely an art to that. And it's not cheap, I'll tell you. But he can tell you what it's like to become a New York Times bestselling author, what gets involved, what is involved in it, how you do that, and how to pick a publisher, and all kinds of things relating to publishing. And so I'm very happy and grateful that he will be back. He's been on my show, Success Profiles Radio, twice, and he was a panelist on my last Authorpreneur Live, and he's fantastic. Next at 4:30 p.m. is Luis DiBianco. He's going to talk about the art of storytelling. He's been an actor in Hollywood movies, and he will talk about what it's like to create a story, because I'll tell you what, if you have something to share, people resonate with stories. If you're just highlighting the bullet points, some people like that. Some people want to know the stuff behind the stuff. People will buy not just what you're doing, but they will buy the results that you're going to achieve for people. They will also buy the story behind what you're doing, the why you're doing what you're doing. And so, as Steve talked about a little bit earlier, identifying your why. Why are you doing this? And that session is going to be all about creating your story that will resonate with people and connecting with people emotionally, because a lot of people will talk to people logically, but if you can connect emotionally with people, you have a much better chance of resonating with your audience. Am I right about that?
I say I'm a professional speaker. I have been 16 years.
Yes.
And I'm in the personal side thing. Basically say most of the same things. And like I said, it comes down to story. It comes down to connecting emotionally. And if your book, your project, whatever it is you're working on can be the one that does that above the others, you are going to increase the odds for more success. And he is the master at it. I caught his session before, and I've seen messages and videos from him. Pull your chair up to the campfire, plug in your earbuds, and listen.
Yeah, he's fantastic. So our final speaker on Wednesday, the 29th, will be Raymond Harlaw at 6 p.m. Eastern. He's going to talk about the power of collaboration. And he's a master of this. He's very well connected. And he will talk about why it's so important to collaborate with people in your network, because you don't know who you know and what they do. In fact, I'm sometimes really surprised when I talk to people in my Facebook network, for example, that they are experts on this or that or the other thing. And I'm thinking, I didn't know you knew about this. In fact, people will say the same thing about me. It's like, I didn't know you help people write books. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I didn't know you published a magazine. Yeah, I do. So the power of collaboration is very, very powerful. And he will talk about the power of creating collaborative books, which is great because if you are an author or want to be an author and you aren't sure you can handle writing a complete book by yourself the first time around, you can join a collaborative project and write one chapter, and be affiliated with a lot of other great people. And through the power of everyone's audience, you'll create a bestseller. If everyone's promoting. He also talks about creating joint venture opportunities. And he has an event in Toronto every year called the Power of Collaboration event. And it's usually in the summer. And Toronto in the summer, it's beautiful. So I'm looking forward to going to his next one. So he's great. And that wraps up day one. That's just day one, Steve. You can't even shake a stick at that. It's awesome.
Right. Do what I do. For anybody watching this right now saying, well, I'd like to tune into this event. Do what I do. Go to your online calendar, or if you still use an old book calendar, I use both. Just take digitally in the online calendar, gray out both days, and just say, you know what? Gone fishing.
Yeah.
And don't let the world in these broadcasts. We're newly into a new year. This is the time most people are thinking about what they're going to do for the year, setting their goals, and hopefully mapping out their action steps. Let this event be one of your action steps. Please give yourself
Absolutely.
that gift. Yeah.
Absolutely. And here's the other cool thing about it, because it is 2 full days. Last time we had some people who attended some of the sessions, but weren't able to attend all of them. If that is your situation, register for free anyway at authorpreneurlive.com. If you click on the link at the top of the page that says All Access Pass, there are 2 options. Number one is the $0 option, which you can click to register. The other option will say $47. And not only do you register for the event, which is still free, but you're also going to get access to all the recordings. So whatever you miss, you can hear back again and again and again. And a bunch of people invested in themselves and got the recordings last time. In fact, I can tell you that more than one person shared with me that they invested in the recordings, listened to them a number of times, and then wrote their book last year because of coming to this event, which is really cool. It's a very good win. And I'm just happy and grateful just to be a part of people's journey in that way.
Yeah. And I'm one of those people too, that I often invest in the recordings of a broadcast or a live event, because I go back after at my own pace with pen and paper. And so you can pause the recording if all of a sudden it triggers an idea or something. And I'm scribbling furiously, trying to keep up live, and I wind up with half-written notes.
Yeah.
But if you invest in the recordings, it's the greatest gift you can give yourself for the new year. You're going to have a birthday this year. Why not give yourself the gift of Authorpreneur live recordings, so you can really flesh out your project and just give yourself the time to marinate on the message and then plot out your action plans in a more educated way.
Right. $47. I mean, that's a really fantastic deal. So we wanted to make it accessible for everybody. Ready to hear about day 2? All right. Day 2, leading off on Thursday, January 30th at noon, is Scott Aaron. He's somebody that I've gotten to know pretty well, and he is an expert on using LinkedIn. So if LinkedIn is something that you're on, but you just haven't used to its fullest potential, he will show us the art of finding leads and finding speaking opportunities and finding people to collaborate with in your business. And he's really good at that. In fact, he has a book that he released last year called The LinkedIn Book for Network Marketing. And one of the things that we'll probably talk about, he may share this story, is the power of creating a great title for your book. Because for SEO purposes, it's really great. Let's just say you're at a bookstore and you're talking to the person at customer service and say, I'm in network marketing. I want to buy that book about LinkedIn for network marketing. What is that book called? It's called The LinkedIn Book for Network Marketing. That's why he chose that title.
Accident either. Exactly.
It's not a happy accident. It was totally planned. And that's why he has that. In fact, he's one of my clients. We worked together on his book. And so when we were talking about book titles, he came up with that. And I said, that's like beyond brilliant. It's awesome. So Scott Aaron's going to talk about how to use LinkedIn to create additional sales leads and opportunities for your business. It's going to be an amazing session. You don't want to miss it. The second session on Thursday, January 29th at 1:30 p.m. is Dave Farrow. He is best known for having 2 Guinness World Records for memory. But that's not what we're going to talk about.
Oh, of course not.
Unless he brings it up.
Sure.
He also has a PR firm called Farrow Communications, and he's going to talk about how to get media and publicity around your cause or your book. And he's really good at that. If you've ever wanted to learn about how to get on TV, how to get on the radio, and once you get on the radio, how to sell what you're doing, he's the man for it. In fact, he has a 2 CD set, which I invested in. And he did an hour-long radio interview on a New York station, had a huge, huge audience. He was there for an entire hour. He sold $170,000 worth of his memory program in an hour-long interview. How'd you like to make $170,000 in an hour?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be great.
And as a former media person, seriously, there are people in the media. I know I did when I was on the radio. I was on for 10 years. We were always looking for quality people to come on and be able to hold up their end of the conversation and be as excited about what they do as we were. And this session is going to be a huge kick in the butt for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And there's a whole psychology behind what do you do once you get on media. So we'll talk about not only how do you get on media, but what do you do once you are on somebody's set or in somebody's studio? You can't be a blabbering fool or you will not be invited back.
Yep.
There's a reason for it. It's not just an ego stroke. There's a reason. You want to build your business. You want to sell what you're doing. You want to get people to think or act differently because of what you're doing. He will talk about the art and science of doing all of that. It's going to be an amazing, amazing session.
Nice.
The next speaker on Thursday, January 30th, will be Arlene Gale at 3 p.m. She was on our panel last year, and she's fantastic. We're going to talk about publishing and how to get a deal. And one thing I asked her to talk about is how to create a great press release that will get attention. I met her at Debbie Allen's event in November. She was a speaker last year, for the first event that I did. But after talking with her and meeting her in person, she's just a gem. She's just amazing. But I did a press release for not this last book, but the book before in 2018. It got picked up by over 200 outlets, but nothing happened. And she said, did you follow up with any of the people who picked it up? I'm like, you can do that? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, well, duh, I didn't do that. So we're going to talk about how to write a great press release that'll get you some attention. I'm also going to ask her to talk about how to write a good book proposal, because if you're looking to get a big name publisher behind your book, they're going to ask you for a book proposal. What goes in a book proposal? What should never go in a book proposal? She's going to talk about the ins and outs of all of that. So that's going to be a really valuable session all by itself. So thinking fast forward ahead, once your book is done, or while you're writing your book, you want to be able to generate some interest in that. So that's great. And the next session after that will be Chris Burns at 4:30 on Thursday, January 30th. He's going to talk about how to put together a podcast, why having a podcast is good for your business, and how you can spread the expertise in your book through a podcast. We're going to talk about how to get on shows, how to create your own show. It's going to be amazing. But you and I both have shows, Steve, and it's a great way to build an audience.
We do. And I think that's really important. And one thing also very important to understand is so many people, and I talk to people year after year after year, Steve, you've been doing your show for so long. I'm afraid to do a show because I'm afraid it might stink. And I tell people right up front, I said, let's just cut out the fear. Your first shows are guiding you, telling you how to do it, how to grow it, say what not to say, as we have here at the tail end of Authorpreneur Live. You're going to stand a much better chance to succeed. You're going to leapfrog past all the people who keep saying, I wish, I wish, I wish. You're going to get this roadmap. And it's a lot like Mad Libs. If you remember the party game Mad Libs, you plug in a noun, an adjective of this. All the experts here are basically giving you Mad Libs to advance your career and to tell your story. They're giving you the framework of how to plug yourself in to increase the odds of success. Don't sit around Googling and YouTubing things. It's the Wild West of information and misinformation.
Yeah.
Be a part of Authorpreneur Live 2.0 for 2020. Get yourself on the right path for this year with all of the experts that Brian has brought into this event. Some of us were part of last year's event and are very, very fortunate to be invited back. Others are new to the event, so there's going to be some great new information as well. Plus, the veterans are bringing some new stuff as well. So you definitely want to plug in.
Yeah. I've gone to events and have heard the same speaker multiple times, and they usually have something new to share. It's not just their same presentation every time. I mean, I wouldn't invite someone back who didn't have someone new to share.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then you want to hear who the final presentation is going to be on that day?
I would love to. It's going to save me the anticipation of waiting there all day to find out who it's going to be.
Well, myself and my good friends Lonnie Robinson and Chris Whitehead are going to do a special session on how to create total authority in your niche.
Nice. You talk about the importance of collaboration. These are guys that we both run with who've changed our lives immeasurably.
Absolutely.
If nothing else, make sure you hang around for this final session and catch it live, because there is nothing like plugging into this group of individuals. And I've been part of so many calls and broadcasts with them as well. This one is going to cross that finish line for the gold.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great session. And there's just nothing like it, because once you have a book, you do get viewed as an authority, but how do you capitalize on that perception and actually create authority in your niche? That's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So Authorpreneur Live, go to authorpreneurlive.com, register for free. If you want to invest in the recordings for only $47, you can just click on the all access pass and you can do that as well. But you know what? There's going to be even more. We talked about 10 sessions, but I have some bonus sessions that, yeah, I know, surprise, right? So here's the thing. For people who do take that extra step and invest in the recordings, I have recorded some bonus sessions in advance. And these are people who are going to be talking about extra stuff that can only be accessed when you invest in the recordings. And part of the reason why I did bonus sessions was a happy accident. Some of them weren't able to appear on the days that I was doing the event. So I thought, well, let's just do a session anyway, and let's make it bonus material. So I've got 3 so far. I might have as many as 4 or maybe 5 by the time we actually do this event.
Nice.
Debbie Allen is going to be one of my bonus sessions. She presented last time, but she's had a whole bunch of new things happen. She had a book released recently called Success is Easy by Entrepreneur Press. So they're affiliated with Entrepreneur Magazine. Can you imagine having the power of Entrepreneur Magazine behind your book?
Very nice.
She's going to talk about how that happened and a proper book launch, because a lot of people write a book and go, ta-da, nothing happened.
Yep.
And
I've been there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Entrepreneur Press put together an entire book launch campaign behind it. And she's going to discuss all of that and how to make stuff like that happen.
Yeah.
Shay Brown is going to have a bonus session on how to create a 7-figure sales team without spending a dime. So he's going to talk about 5 different ways that you can have people help you sell what you're doing without spending a dime. And it's going to be absolutely amazing without spending a dime up front. I'll make that caveat. But that session was amazing because we've already recorded that in advance. And my other currently recorded bonus session is Sean Douglas. And he's going to talk about how to get leads to build your speaking business. Because if you've ever tried speaking, the biggest thing is, where do I find places to speak? He's going to talk about that. And it's an incredible session. So those extra bonus sessions are only available if you invest in the recordings for $47. The regular sessions are awesome all by themselves, but if you want the full benefit of the event, you really should get the recordings. You can go to authorpreneurlive.com right now to register for free. How awesome is that?
That is very awesome. Here's one of the things too about having the recordings. Wherever you are now in your growth, your process, your progress, you have the access to these people who are performing at this level. You watch them, you take some nuggets, you apply them, you raise your game a little bit. And this is what's happened to me so many times over the years, Brian, and that's why I'm mentioning this. You go back and listen again, and all of a sudden there's going to be something there that didn't trip your trigger the first time, because you're now at the level to understand it, be able to grasp it, and take action. And so many times I've gone back and listened to recordings and thought, was that there the first time? The recording itself hasn't changed, but because of your journey, because of your progress, if you try to implement everything all at once, you're probably going to get overwhelmed if you're like me. Yeah. But you take a nugget, you run with it, you build yourself up like going to the gym, you build your muscle, you get to this level, you go back and listen to the recordings again or a different presenter, and then you go to that next level, the next level, the next. Yeah. This is the roadmap, and there's so many people covering a variety of different things here to get you from where you are right now to wherever it is you want to be. Part of my presentation is determining where you want to be.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Then you've got lifetime access to these things, and you continue to grow, and you're going to discover among all the experts and all these people who are hugely successful that some of their progress came from very happy accidents because they took action to at least go to the next level. And that's the beauty of it all. So how many opportunities show up when you're willing to go beyond your current comfort zone? Yeah. The people you meet, I mean, look at the people we run with. The people you meet are going to blow your mind. And all of a sudden you're going to realize just how strong your team actually is.
Yeah. Yeah. And all of these speakers are open to being contacted after the session. If you want to learn more from them, they'll be happy to do that. So it's not one of those events where your top speakers show up and then they leave. It's not like that at all. In fact, I don't have people like that on this panel. So everyone on this panel is a giver, and they want to. In fact, some of them are going to be giving away free stuff. So you can check out authorpreneurlive.com and see what some of those giveaways are. And I don't know if all the giveaways are even up there yet, but some of them certainly are giving things away.
I've got
So
something brewing here, which is not quite there yet. So it's still, it's to be continued and to be uploaded. I'm putting the finishing
right.
touches actually this week.
Absolutely. And you might think, well, gosh, this event is still over 2 weeks away, but you know what? Do it now while you're thinking about it. You will get reminded by email. And even if you can't attend all the sessions, you can get the recordings. Once again, go to authorpreneurlive.com and register for free. How can you not want to do this? If you've ever thought about writing a book, do this. If you have a book, but you aren't sure what to do with it next, register. It will be totally worth your time.
Most definitely. And I've already published 4 books. And even just with the information I got from last year, my next book and everything that goes into it is going to be so much different. And there will be a book coming out this year. So I'm very happy that Authorpreneur Live 2020 2.0 is happening now, because it's going to directly affect the rest of my year and where I go with this next book.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Steve. It was fun. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, just remind people, go ahead and register now. Don't wait till the last minute. And definitely, I suggest getting the recordings for yourself, a gift to yourself. And it's a gift you get to go back to, listen to, reference. And you also will get connected with so many experts out there who, like you said, Brian, are so willing to share their expertise and their tips.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the people that we surround ourselves with. It's the most collaborative community I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to this event. And I'm honored that you invited me back for the second year.
You're very welcome, Steve. This is going to be absolutely awesome and amazing. And everyone, please register now, Authorpreneur Live, and we'll see you later. Take care, everybody.